Welcome back to Riley Everyday as we continue our countdown through the top 5 storylines in the Big Ten for this upcoming season. And coming in at number 3, the importance of Michigan State's Jeremy Fears. Now, the Spartans experienced a stellar year in 2025. Tom Izzo defied the odds, stuck to his principles, and guided Michigan State to its first Big Ten regular season title since 2020. And they won the league by 3 games. The campaign culminated with their first Elite Eight since 2019, as it seemed like order was finally restored in East Lansing. But fast forward a few months, and Michigan State stares at a roster that has lost 64% of last season's scoring. Moreover, as a team, they made 197 threes in 2025, but the players responsible for 185 of those makes are all gone. The brunt of the hit will be felt in the backcourt as Jaden Akins is out of eligibility, Jace Richardson moved on to the NBA, and Trey Holloman transferred to NC State. So let's get an overview of their replacements. So Samford transfer Trey Fort was the marquee replacement through the portal. He's a bouncy 6'4" guard who's a lethal movement shooter. Last year, he made 83s at a 38% clip, and thus he should, in theory, keep the Spartans' three-point numbers from falling off of a cliff. But there's still a risk to his acquisition. There's just not a high success rate of SoCon transfers. Looking at last season, Achor only scored 7 a night for Kansas State before being dismissed from the team 7 games into the season. Mikal Brown-Jones wasn't even a factor at Ole Miss, scoring just 4 points per game. JP Pegues, a SoCon tournament MVP at one point, played in just 15 games for Auburn, 1.4 points per game. Now, if you go further back, you can see BJ Mack scoring 14 a night for South Carolina, a team that made the tournament, and Malachi Smith was a solid contributor for Gonzaga a couple years ago. But beyond that, there's just not many success stories, so I struggle to see Fort come in and immediately average double figures. Now, sophomore Divine Ukachukwu is another transfer to watch. He comes to East Lansing from Miami, and he was one time an unheralded 3-star recruit, but he earned a lot of playing time last year, started in late January. But there is a caveat. Miami played completely unserious basketball last season. They won 7 games, the entire team's shot selection was abysmal, they played 0 defense, and Ukachukwu was especially culpable in that area. Izzo will truly have to reteach every habit he learned last season. Only scored 5 points per game in double figures just 3 times in his freshman campaign, but there is a little bit of upside and optimism to see. He shot the ball extremely well and showed the ability to get to the basket in the Moneyball Pro-Am going on right now. Kur Teng could also see an uptick in playing time, so it'll be interesting to monitor if he lives up to his recruiting pedigree. The sophomore guard was at one time a top 60 recruit who shot 38% on the Adidas circuit, playing a level up. Just didn't really get a chance to see the floor last year. But still, these 3 are all improving in some capacity, which puts an even bigger onus on Fears. Now, he was solid enough a season ago in his first real crack at minutes. Remember, his freshman campaign tragically ended after a gunshot wound to his thigh in December of 2023. But last year, Fears showed off that floor general skill set, ranking 2nd in the Big Ten in assist rate. He was also 9th in steal rate, showing that bulldog mentality that you want to see from your point of attack defender. He only made 13 threes, but I will say his form looked a lot more connected than it did in high school. Though I sort of believe regaining his athleticism and his burst, that's going to be his actual swing skill. He wasn't particularly good at the rim last season, but his prep school tape shows the upside. Going back to 2022 in the FIBA U17 World Cup, he was so aggressive in the lane. He finished through contact and above the rim. He had 17 points against Ade Mara in Spain in the championship game. And when you go back and watch those highlights and see his first step, he almost looked like his younger brother Jeremiah. Now, it makes sense that he's not even 2 years removed from the gunshot wound, that he's still recovering. However, there have been some workout videos he's posted to his socials this summer that show him returning to form. If that translates, it could spell great news for the Spartans. Fears needs to continue to progress shooting pull-up jumpers. He needs to make strides as a shooter altogether, maybe make somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 43s. I get that's a tall task, doubling or even tripling his production from last year. But if he does that, he could be an all-conference caliber player. Michigan State desperately needs him to break out.